Hello, and welcome to Wyverns and Weirdos Fathomless, D&D Podcast set in the World of Fierlor. I am Darby, your Dungeon Master, and joining me as always are Eddie, playing Tibble, Mitch, playing Neris, Laura, playing Rue, and Johanna, playing Alton. Let's jump into it. Where we last left off, the party in various and sundry ways found down for the night, having various conversations about what is to come. While in the night, Neris was visited by a possible future self, warning him of things to come and to be ready for them and do what was necessary, but without telling him what those things were, because that would break the timeline more than it actually had already done. So we come back, start of a new morning. If folks haven't already taken their long rests, they can do that now.
So Tibble was wanting to have a dawn meeting with his senior officers. He's also invited Floret to attend this meeting. It would be at first light when available, so Tibble will be happily waiting in the meeting room.
So Neris is going to wake up drenched in a cold sweat and sits bolt upright and almost loses his balance in the hammock that he's in. And then he's going to very quietly get out of bed, grab his satchel that's next to him, just on the ground, and he's going to tiptoe his way out of this room upstairs to his study, where he's going to sit himself down. He's going to light a candle, pull out the divining orb and just kind of sit it in front of him, and he's going to start writing everything about that dream, that vision, that instance that he saw. And that's just what he's going to do until the sun comes up. When the meeting is about to start, Neris is going to fold up all his belongings, make his way over to the war room. I would assume he's probably one of the first, if not the first, but one of the first to arrive. He'll get there probably like 20, 25 minutes or so before the meeting is meant to start, and he'll just sort of prop himself down and go over the notes, what he thinks the conversation is going to be on. He'll take a couple of notes and write down a few questions and get himself ready.
Certainly.
Yep.
If there's anything we know Neris is good at, it's keeping time.
So it is just the senior officers and Floret, who he has invited. Rue, his guest, has not been invited, nor any of the junior crew members, aside from Floret. Before everyone arrives, Kara actually attends and puts down a platter of breakfast-type foods, some fresh fruits, some scones, some different teas and beverages as well, just for people to sort of nibble at this breakfast meeting. And once everyone arrives, Tibble sort of finishes up the paragraph of the report that he's working on, and he looks across to everyone. He's like, all right, wonderful. Thank you all for attending this morning. Thank you to my wonderful wife, Kara, for putting together this morning's spread, rather. And please do help yourself as we go through this morning's agenda. We'll try and make it short and fast, but obviously there are a few things that we do have to cover today. First things first, Congratulations are in order. Fleuret, you have officially been promoted to our new senior Master-at-Arms.
Thank you, Captain.
I personally have taken care of clearing out Janice's quarters. They are yours until such time Janice is returned to us and back aboard, but in which time we will organize such things.
Congratulations. I will have some important papers on your desk in a matter of hours.
There's a lot more paperwork, so good luck.
Yeah, congratulations. It's a time-honored way of getting a promotion.
Yeah, I do wish it were under better circumstances, but as you are all aware, I spoke to our employers, the heads of the Hydra, yesterday. They did suggest to me a possible employment opportunity for Rue to join our crew. It would give Rue an opportunity to learn and explore more of the crew and of sailing life. So I wanted to get your thoughts on the matter before making any official decisions.
Alton's looked quite disgruntled at the news. But when Tibble first said it, and then just kind of just sat back in his chair a little.
Alton, your thoughts on the matter? I would appreciate honesty.
Right, yes. Well, Rue, I suppose. What I've seen of them, they're good at combat. They know a bit about medicine. So in those regards, I'm sure they'd be fine as a crew member. Can't say I know if they know much about sailing, but then I'm not one to talk. And, well, I suppose otherwise we just don't know too much about them yet. Those are my thoughts.
Tibble gets this funny sort of smile when you say that, and there's this fondness that twinkles in his eyes, and he's like, yes, we should be wary of not really knowing too much about the people we hire. You're correct there, Alton. Neris, penny for your thoughts.
I am very confident, Captain, in your judgment of the situation. As I always am. Any decisions that you make, I will stand behind. If you are wanting to press me, I believe this is a good decision.
Now, of course, Fishman, I already know your thoughts. We spoke of it early this morning when you were fishing. Odd thing to witness you doing, but, I suppose it's decided then. Well, with the fun stuff out of the way, let's get to the more serious events, such as the happenings of yesterday. Yesterday, a situation occurred where an officer of the law openly shot at one of our crew. I am aware now of the reasonings behind why this is. I truly believe that any person can find themselves in a bad situation. That doesn't make them a bad person. People who will hold the law as a form of control or punishment before really giving any form of trial or jury or understanding ought to be criminals, in my mind. The events of yesterday I will discuss with the heads of the Hydra. I will give them some of the information they request while still protecting privacy of the crew members. I think that our best move going forward for the time being is to focus on the next mission as soon as possible. In the best interest of everyone here, I am recommending that we leave this evening.
All right. Question. Is this being kept from the rest of the crew? I feel like it would probably be a bit more secure if it was.
For the time being, if that is within agreeance of everyone in this room, yes.
Good.
Captain, do you mind if I ask a few questions of you?
I don't mind at all.
You mentioned you firmly believe that the person who ordered this attack is in the wrong. That it was a principle of morality.
Correct.
I do not wish any offense against the person this was instigated against, but what evidence do you have that it was wrong?
I guess I have about as much evidence as they do, which is to say my word, much as their word.
Is there something, if this was to come back to bite us, is there something we can say that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that their accusations are wrong and baseless?
That is something I'm working on.
Why do you feel the need to withhold this information from the heads of the Hydra? Do you believe there are some within the heads of the Hydra that would want to work against us?
I believe that if we were working under any organization, lad, that there would be ones who would. I think that is part of working for an organization instead of as independents like our dear friend 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧. But I think it would be unwise for me to blindly put my trust into our superiors, as I would never ask any of you to blindly put your trust into me.
And I am very thankful to the captain that he's not going to just go blabbing to that organization. What exactly are you suggesting here, 𝗖𝗧? Is that what you would do?
I'm not suggesting anything. I'm trying to get all the information so that we may all have the correct course of action. I want to make sure the decisions we are making are informed decisions that benefit the entire crew and the Polaris itself.
I do not think that 𝗖𝗧 is asking these questions out of ill will. He's genuinely asking these questions to make sure that we are taking the best course of action.
Right. Well, thanks for the clarification. It's not the most fun having, you being allowed to live being something that's just being viewed so objectively.
If the questions are not asked, we will not know the answers when it comes up.
And he kind of just clenches his fist for a moment and is trying to calm down a little bit.
Great. Well, then, if that's all for today, I don't know, maybe we can leave 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 and the Fishman to stop enjoying the show for a little bit.
I am not, I will admit, the best at speaking plainly. I will endeavor to alter my conversational tactics in the future. Rest assured, what all of my mumbly-chumbly, if you will, is trying to say is that we are working on a solution.
I would like to reiterate, Alton, you are a part of this crew for as long as you want to be.
Right. Well, honestly, running away would be so much more convenient, but I am so sick of that. It's a lot of work.
Running away should be your choice. Maybe you and 𝗖𝗧 can have a private chat, or you tell him some of the things you told me. Would this be suitable for you, 𝗖𝗧?
Of course, Captain.
Perfect. Enjoy your breakfast. And 𝗔𝗦𝗧 goes back to finishing up his third copy of his report. As he does make 3 copies of the reports.
If no one else is, 𝗖𝗧 is going to hang around after the meeting is done. He's just going to sort of be finishing up some notes. And 𝗖𝗧 is going to sort of, as he's finishing and like closing, he's probably got like 3 different journals in front of him. He's closing one individually and putting it in his satchel, and then closing up another one and putting that in individually, and sort of taking a lot of time to see if anyone else is looking at hanging around. And if there is anyone that looks like they're also stalling for time, 𝗖𝗧 is just gonna leave.
I think Alton would probably look at 𝗖𝗧, like, I don't know, like, where does he communicate, like, talking now or later?
I will later.
All right, I'll be in the kitchens.
And he'll just take some of the food out and all the plates out and go. Also mentioned that he didn't eat during this meeting.
Well, as everyone else leaves, Neris is going to put his final journal away, and is then going to grab just like a bit of bread with like some jam or something or other on it, and just take a little bite out of it, and sort of get up to leave, and then look over at the captain, and then like take a couple of very purposeful steps towards the door, and then stop like he's just remembered something. So, Captain, by the way, you recall how I told you if I was to have any more of those dreams that could potentially endanger the crew, that I should let you know. I'm sure it's nothing. I've not been sleeping very well over the last few nights. But I had it was probably just, when you are very close to sleeping, or you have fallen asleep and then you wake up and you have a think, and your think is so real that you think it might be a dream, but it's probably just you overthinking things. So it probably means the nothing, but it's fine.
I'm not familiar with the sensation, nurse. However, I don't quite think the same way that you do. So
not many people do, and that is good for them. What I mean to say is that, and it is probably nothing, but I had like a dream that was.
Neris, sit back down.
Neris is going to sit down and just sort of take a couple of deep breaths. Kind of look up at the roof, and he's tapping his fingers on the desk, both rhythmically as he's sort of looking at the roof.
Take your time, lad.
Something is happening. Something big is happening to the world. And I don't know what it is, but I do, or I will. And I come back and they tell me about that thing, because I failed. But now I have the chance to succeed. And I am trying to figure out, do I always talk in riddles? Is that something that I do on the frequent?
Tibble does this like little half smile, and he closes up his notes, which he'd kind of stopped making but was still holding his quill, and they were still open. And he closes up his notes, puts his quill aside, and from his little sort of miniature desk that he has on top of this war table, he comes around and he sort of sits in front of you, and he puts one of his little paws on one of your hands, and he's like, lad, I think often people don't ask for clarification with you as much as I do. But I would argue that many of them just believe you talk in riddles, yes. However, I worry not so much of this dream or of its content. I worry of the fact that it's coming from you. Not from you now, from you future, I don't doubt that. I know you have abilities that are much beyond me, and Kara has spoken a little to me of some of the things you've both discussed, but when the criticisms are still coming from you, even if you've learnt new things in the future, you're always biased. Whatever failure you made, whatever failure you're about to try and fight not to make, that has the weight of the entire world on it. It's not just you. Lad, you're not responsible for the entire world. Do I think we should take this seriously? Yes. Because you take many things very seriously, and I would not be in the position I am if you didn't take them seriously. But you hold yourself to a much harsher standard than any person I've ever met.
Wait. Said it is not just me. It was, or it will be not just me. What if it was? Or is, or is going to be? Maybe that's where it went wrong. There's this look in Neris's eyes now. It's almost piercing, and he's speaking slower now, and is not making eye contact. He's not looking at anything. He's almost looking through something. Perhaps the problem was that I was alone. Maybe therein lies the solution. I was either too alone to gain any help, or I was worried what the help was going to be. Neris kind of shakes himself and blinks a couple of times and looks up at you, Tibble. I'm terribly sorry. This has interrupted breakfast. And he takes another little bite of his the little jam that he's got, and he has a little smile that sort of pops up on his face. Thank you very much for the talk. And he puts the bread in his mouth and kind of picks up his satchel and just walks out the door. Just with the bread just like hanging out of his mouth.
Okay.
Tibble, sitting on the war table, watches him go. A little bit, not so much confused, not so much baffled, but there's this expression on his face where, like, you can tell he doesn't quite fully understand, but he thinks that he's done something right. So he just nods and watches Neris walk away. All right, then, I guess. And he goes back to his notes and finishes them.
Okay. So, is there anything else that folks need to get done?
Neris just shoots a quick message to 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 just to say, hey, finalize up the requisitions order. We're going to put that in earlier than expected. Essentially, that's going to be, we're taking inventory and stock of everything. That's going to be put up on my desk. Neris is going to have a quick look through to make sure that everything's there and finalized, and then we'll put in the order for a rush delivery.
Alton would just be like doing his job as usual, working in the kitchens. Probably be a bit more like quiet than usual with Kara.
Neris, would you duck by Alton at the kitchens, or?
There has been a meeting that is set. Neris would absolutely come up to the kitchen and just ask if you've got a free moment.
Yes, absolutely. Time for that talk. It's not time for the meeting yet, is it?
Well, you're getting close, but we do have a few free minutes.
Good. Right then, it's quiet out here. Let's take a seat.
So,
right. I wanted to apologize for how I spoke to you in that meeting before. Little stressful.
was a stressful meeting.
Yes, definitely. Is it all right if we clear the air a bit? I'm not sure how you're feeling about the whole criminal situation. I mean, I'd hate for a rat and toad to not have their play dates anymore.
Of course, I have had a conversation with Toad, and he is very intent on keeping up the play dates. So, if only to make him happy, I'm more than willing to flatten out the air, if you will.
Well, I'm glad Rat will be very happy. He does get lonely. It's just all the bigger folks, and, there's only so much fun you can get out of biting ankles.
That is very true. So, no hard feelings.
Of course.
Now on to the information. Don't mind.
Yes. What has Tibble told you?
I would like to hear what you have to say first.
Of course.
I am not looking to mix and match, if you will. I would like to know what you have to say without tainting anything with what other people have mentioned.
Naturally. Right. Oh, actually, you know me, always paranoid. You don't happen to have Zone of Truth, do you? Can't say I know your whole dispel capabilities.
Unfortunately, I do not have that. That is not my realm of expertise.
No worries then. I've never been a fan of that one. If you spring it on me, I'll know. But yes, on with the truth. Well, essentially, that man was an officer who had been sent to kill me, essentially. A certain 𝗖𝗓𝗦𝗧 Peacebringer, it would seem. And this is because I have connections to a certain criminal organization called the Red Lakes.
The Red Lake?
So I am from Tavamara in the city of Aramar, which is, well, it's been run by that gang for, goodness, well over a century. Decent amount of time even by your standards. And, well, being a medic, even though I don't have magical healing, I'm still fairly sought after. So they hired me. So I was working for them, mostly healing. Everyone was working for them, essentially. So I was working along happily in 2 clinics, I guess, and then all of a sudden, some people talked because 𝗖𝗓𝗦𝗧 Peacebringer had all the information to take down all the members, well, most of the members. So there were executions, there were hangings, there was prison cells were all full. They didn't 100% know I was there because I disguised myself, but they knew there was a drow, so they went to my clinic. And I got away because people stood up for me. But, I'm not going to take any chances, so I made a run for it, tried to get a new profession. Got sold out by the person who got me the job. Got shot a few times. There's the end of the story, essentially.
Neris has been writing the whole time, and he hasn't looked up at all.
Any questions?
Did you have any interaction with Captain Peacebringer or their associates before you fled?
Elaine? I didn't have any direct conversations with her. I mean, one of her guards came to my clinic when I was with the patients and, tried to grab me and take me away. My boss stood up for me. Honestly, I didn't think that I'd be important enough for anyone to hunt me down.
Quick look at the door. It is definitely closed, yes.
Yeah.
So when you were brought into this gang, you mentioned that everyone essentially was working for them.
Most people in the city.
Do you believe there was people who were not associated with this gang would be looked upon unfavorably by the rest of the city?
I mean, in a way, because those people usually don't have much power, and they're probably the people getting extorted by the gang anyway, so...
It would not be too much of a stretch to say that there was pressure for you to join this group.
Yeah, I guess.
Was there anyone else associated with you joining the group? Did anybody ask you, or did anybody give you information on how to join?
Yes, definitely. I mean, they scouted me in a way.
They came to you.
I mean, I wasn't just some weak person who was forced into it.
What if
I
you
wanted
were?
to join. Sounds like a nice story to spin, I guess.
I'm not talking about a story here. I'm talking about trying to find the truth that will work.
Nice way to put it. All right, so I was forced into the gang.
Are you aware of anyone else who is in that gang that has not been captured?
Can't really help you on that, not at the moment.
But potentially in the future, if you are able to find these
Sure.
names, does they bear any weight to you? Are you at all invested in their futures? Or would you wish to see those who extorted you and pushed you into joining this gang put behind bars?
Alton just takes a long moment. His expression is just very still.
Fuck, it would be the sensible thing to do, wouldn't it? But I don't know, some values stick with you. I don't want to be a brat. I don't want to sell the others out.
They sold you out.
One of them, and I got both of his legs shot off. Look, I already did enough to them by running.
It is perfectly fine. We are just exploring options.
Stick with the story. They forced me in. This poor little drow with no money to his name. That's truth. I can go with that. Am I easing your mind at all?
I am very good at what I do because my mind is never at ease. We all make mistakes in our time. Some of us mix in with the wrong people, believing they are to present us to the futures that we are looking forward to.
Hmm.
And instead, it gives us a past we would like to forget. What is important is what you do with the choices you make in your life.
That's true, that. Is that what happened to you? On the previous ship you're on? What was it that you mentioned that you were a cannoneer's mate?
I was a cannoneer's mate on a ship for a little over a year, which is where I got this, and sort of gestures loosely to his ears. Not a fun experience, but it is one that we learn from, and we move forward.
Some mistakes leave scars on the mind, some on the body. Right, well, thank you. You seem to be working with me, or with the crew at least, preparing for, when I get questioned, if I get taken in, and that a good defense that we can have.
We will see what the future holds for you.
I'm rolling an insight check.
15.
If I'm attempting to hide emotions, is that a deception, or is
That
it
is
just like a
deception?
It's a 15.
Meats.
So he's trying to choose his words. He seems to be not confused as such, but pondering and almost intrigued
Okay.
as to what answers these questions may entail.
Interesting. So I think Alton is initially suspicious because those words, just that phrasing sounded very suspicious. But he just kind of nods slowly. Yeah, I'll get this worked out. I know, makes a bit of interesting gossip for your time on the ship. A criminal aboard.
You're not the most exciting criminals that I've spent time with. It is. And regardless, this does not make for good rumors. Especially when I'm trying to help.
Yes, much appreciated. And yes, I've been told before, very boring criminal. Really don't understand why they're after me.
Sure, it is just a misunderstanding.
Yep.
Somebody doesn't have the full picture.
So, about this meeting. Could you tell me how it goes? And also if, I don't know, 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 seems to be a genuinely good person, which is very weird, but he's very naive. So if he takes things down a bad track for me and the crew, could you steer him on the right path? I'd rather keep my head on my shoulders for as long as possible. And you are a clever person. You know all the good words.
I have been trying to steer this ship down the right path for several years.
Mm.
I do not intend to stop now.
Nice. I can tell. We'll just keep doing a good job.
Well, thank you very much for the talk. I do hope you step out onto the deck at some stage this afternoon. The weather is delightful. And I will speak with you at a later date.
Alton just scratches his nose up at the thought of like the sun being out.
And it's just like, all right, safe travels ashore. I'll get dinner ready.
Neris scrunches his nose up at the thought of going ashore.
Yeah, eventually, 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧, I take it you gather Neris.
Yeah, so 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧, he would, when the time comes to go meet with the heads of the Hydra, he would find Neris. He would also find Rue, and wherever Rue happens to be, he would let Rue know that it was time to go meet with the Hydra. And along the way, he does mention to Rue, as we're sort of getting closer to the headquarters. Rue, lad, I know we're already on our way to the Hydra, but I just feel like I should let you know that in the eyes of my officers, he kind of nods to Neris as well. He's like, you're welcome aboard. You're willing to take the position.
Good. Then all is as it was planned. Exciting. This will be a grand new adventure.
I will be delighted to have you officially as part of the crew. Young Ham will remain a guest, as I'm not sure what a payment to a bullet would be.
Literally anything. He eats anything. He's the opposite to me in a way, I suppose.
I suppose so.
I suppose technically, Ham eats constantly for nourishment. I can eat, I just derive no particular joy with it, but I do like textures.
Good to know.
Yes. Anyway, a quick query.
And then Rue kind of like stops and just like turns and
Rue's probably carrying like a couple of apples because Rue probably would have actually gone not too far from the ship, but like gone to like this little market and just like investigated more like grocery type stuff and things like that. Do you think it will be quite safe to visit people of such high regard for me? Should I need a disguise? Rue kind of like looks around like the street to make sure there's like not too many people around. I have been under the impression that Anamdala, a rare commodity, for lack of a better word, or at least that's what I have heard and experienced. I remember Dr. Harrowfeather was very interested in conducting experiments on the animancy that constitutes my inner form, which would have involved cutting me open. Luckily that did not happen, though. As I stand here before you, of course, ironically, I ended up cutting Dr. Harrowfeather open.
Tibble stops walking for a second, and his face is blank, like he's trying to comprehend what was just said. And then he frowns, and then he looks up at Neris, and then he frowns again. He's like, I'm not quite sure, lad, which statement there to unpack first.
Do you think I should need a disguise?
I can't imagine so, but you're the first of your kind that I've encountered. I'm sure I'm a delicacy to some creatures in some forms of this planet, but you're under my protection.
I was just wondering if I should have a different mask, but this one should do well. It is very fashionable after all.
Rue, I think...
I have an apple regardless. And they kind of like hold up like an apple, which is just sort of like buckling a little bit under like the strong pressure of like their like long spindly claws.
I would ask about the apple, but honestly, I want to see how this plays out.
Well then, hopefully they're not going to want to dissect me. And then probably as we like enter, Rue kind of like turns to Neris imperceptibly. It's like, for clarification, Dr. Harrowfeather turned out to have terrible gallstones, and the surgery was a success.
So, when you get into the main chambers, it is not as populated as it was. There is today only Azan, Zadra, and Victor.
Good afternoon, gracious hosts of the Hydra. As per our discussion yesterday morning, I've come to cover a few matters today.
Azan leans back in his chair and says, "Oh, we shall listen. Start with the difficult."
Okay, well, yesterday there was an incident with an officer of the law. Now, at this stage, the officer believes that they have identified someone who is currently a fugitive of theirs. I am doing my own internal investigation as to the truth of these claims. However, we made a citizen's arrest of sorts. However, while trying to apprehend this man, there was damages done to, well, I wish to discuss the Hydra helping put forth in the funding of the rebuild.
That can be arranged, I'm sure. We've already been approached by the Pack Guard, and arrangements have been made.
May I ask what sort of arrangements?
We have spoken on his behalf, and Alton has been removed from the list of quarries. Unless you do anything to sour relationships further with the Pact Guard, you will have no more concerns with them.
Wonderful. I'm glad you were able to come to an understanding.
It's
We
not
will
entirely without strings, but we'll get to those later.
Of course. I would appreciate that any conversations around such, I'm happy to be involved and to assist in ways that I can.
Of course.
I appreciate your understanding of the situation that happened and of the importance of maintaining my crew at its current capacity.
Yes, and similarly, we desire to keep as much avoidable scandal away from us as possible.
Of course. We will keep peace with the Pact Guard so long as they keep peace with us, which, given the arrangements, I believe will be so. So,
Have you come to a decision from the jobs posted?
I believe that the offer that we are going to take is to find the artifact in the underwater temple of in the Fiersic Isles.
Temple is a bit, generous. It's an old ruin. But yes, the mantle of the Deep King. Further details in the dossier, you can collect those on your way out.
If all is fine with you, we are actually going to leave port earlier than anticipated and will depart this evening.
All right. You will be provided, due to the nature of the job, with some means of underwater travel, though you will only have a limited amount of time.
Of course. Well, we will be heading off directly to the next job this evening, so that should be fine, as long as the provisions are provided to us by dusk. Neris, and Thibault nods to Neris, can make the appropriate arrangements with your appropriate officer.
Neris bows his head.
Commencing today, I have also brought along Rue Friday. I have discussed the job offer with Rue, and Rue has been more than happy to accept it. However, I did inform Rue that it was pending. He kind of holds his hands up and he's like, my esteemed friend and guest, Rue Friday.
Nice to meet you.
Rue, I get you to make me a wisdom saving throw quickly.
Oh, it's a 7.
A 7. Okay. You feel as if someone is probing your mind. I won't ask you for the thoughts that are actually being searched through, but 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 is casting detect thoughts on you.
Okay. So yeah, I'm in Rules and Unofficial, so it's that strange soup of magic and thought. And yeah, I mean, I can be vague, but a lot of what Rue's thoughts are not favourable. Not towards the others, but they are just questioning what is how things have been proceeded, how the proceeding has been going, and what the purpose is of this meeting, or the true purposes of this meeting.
Okay. Much of interest to you over Friday.
Yes. I am glad to meet you all. I hope to be an interesting presence on the ship. It is interesting to meet you all. I am from far across the sea. Your island is very great. You have so many people here. You must all be very happy.
I am sure you'll be a welcome presence on the ship and an asset to the company.
We will see.
Your nature, you'll certainly come in handy to the rest of your team on this coming mission.
Of course. I'm looking forward to it as a very human man that is tall.
And just before 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 completely releases the spell, you hear in your head, there's something missing here.
Oh, what are you looking for?
I'm just betting you. But it is as if that there is history locked away even to you.
To me? What?
No. If I knew, it would not be hidden.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
And you feel the magical connection sever.
Rue, by default goes back into that very, sort of cowed, probably 7 foot tall cowed sort of pose, with their little fingers sort of steepling a bit. And they just sort of turn their head and go regard the group again.
Is that all that is needed of us, heads of the Hydra?
That is all.
Wonderful. We'll fill the appropriate paperwork on our way out. And as I said, we will be leaving at dusk. Neris, did you have anything you wish to cover?
What dates does the Polaris owe the heads of the Hydra for the generosity you have shown us today?
There is a task that will have to be undertaken once you return. At this stage, it requires a bit of time before it can be attempted, but...
Of course. Thank you for your well-placed trust in us. We will not let you down.
Oh, that's right. And then they turn and just lob an apple towards where the people are saying, "Be not afraid. Goodbye." They kind of hurry out.
And as you depart, that's where we're going to leave it for this week.
The water
All right.
level already.
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking with us, guys.
Yes.
Bye.
Yes,
Have a good
Bye.
time.
See you
Bye.
guys.
For reference, you will be supplied with 1 scroll of water breathing.
Generous.
I mean,
Use it
one
wisely.
scroll will cover up to
Covers
8
all of us for
people.
24 hours.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
It means
Long as
that,
you're done for 24 hours.
yeah, it means that you have a 24-hour window unless someone else is able to cast it. You have a 24-hour window to get through.
We may have to outsource on this one.
I think that's a
fellas.
spell Loren could have taken.
Could have.
She took something else.
That's fine. She's
Well,
not
she
part
could
of
be
this crew.
Man, if only this crew had a capable magic wizard whose whole thing was utility. Crazy. Shame no one's asking him.
So does Neris have breathe underwater?
Neris has had water breathing since day.
Oh, amazing. Never mind then.
Nice.